Tributary's topic number 3 says, why is the white family not being studied for producing psychopaths? You guys should be familiar with this recent story. We'll play this. It's MSNBC. Hopefully they don't give me a strike for this. We'll watch the video and then we'll discuss it.
Yeah, I don't think we can hear this.
Yeah, it's no sound, Coco.
All right.
Damn, they already spoke you.
I just saw some notification from StreamYard that something disconnected. So let me stop sharing for a quick second.
You can't show news. You can't show news channels on here.
You know, these guys are funny. Like ABC, for example, you know, they're part of Disney. They strike you down. FIBA.
Really? News channels shouldn't be striking you down. I use that content all the time, and I never get a strike from a news station. That's new.
You would think, right?
Yeah.
Let me reshare this again. This time I don't see anything saying the sound is disconnected. So we'll watch the video and then we'll discuss it.
The first hearing for the father of the teen accused of killing 4 people at a high school in Georgia just wrapped up. Colin Gray is charged with involuntary manslaughter, second-degree murder, and cruelty to children. He faces up to 180 years in prison if he is convicted on all of those charges. His next hearing is set for December 4th. 2 law enforcement sources tell NBC News Gray bought his son an AR-15 style rifle as a gift. It's not known exactly when it was given to him, but sources say it was after police interviewed the teen and his father last year about online threats to carry out a school shooting. The hearing for the suspected gunman was held a short time ago. It's actually a child. The 14-year-old is facing 4 counts of felony murder. Authorities say he fired an AR-style rifle inside Appalachia High School on Wednesday, killing 2 students and 2 teachers. The teenager is now being charged as an adult and faces life in prison without parole. His next hearing is also set for December 4th. Joining us now, State Attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida, Dave Arenberg. I think this is at least the second time a parent has been charged. Is this the new strategy in the war against these school shootings?
Mika, something has to be done. You're not going to get it by just charging the child. When you're a child, your brain is still developing. The threat of life in prison means nothing. Plus, they rarely survive. They usually get killed or kill themselves. It's unusual that the kid here surrendered. The key to charging the father here is to show that he gave his son the gun and did not secure it after knowing that his child had severe mental health issues. And it's a stronger case for prosecutors if you can show that the father did indeed gift his son a gun after the FBI visited the house, saying that there was a report that his son wanted to shoot up a school. That would be reckless disregard of a known risk, otherwise known as involuntary manslaughter. There is precedent in Oxford, Michigan, the Crumbly parents. They're currently serving out a conviction for involuntary manslaughter. The prosecutors here in Georgia are going one step further. They're charging them under a unique statute, a second-degree murder statute, which is like second-degree murder for child cruelty. You know, you engage in child cruelty, and that leads to a death. I don't know if that's an overcharge. We still haven't seen the probable cause affidavit. We need to take a closer look at it. But you don't want to overcharge in a case like this because you're dealing with an unprecedented charge to begin with. We rarely hold parents accountable for their children's behavior in school shootings, but we should do more of that.
Hi, it's Molly John Fast. I'm curious, there's a bunch of charges, right? Different charges. Can you sort of walk us through what that looks like and why it's a group of 3?
Yeah, the most serious charge is the second-degree murder charge, which is a maximum of 30 years in prison, minimum of 10 years. That's for 2 counts. That's for the 2 children who were killed. It doesn't apply to the 2 adults, the teachers. Then you have the involuntary manslaughter. That's the one that got the Crumblies. It's an extreme recklessness that leads to a death. That's not intentional. And then there's the child endangerment statutes, which are lesser crimes. I mean, he's facing a whole host of problems here, and rightly so. I mean, you have a father who decided instead of buying his son access to a therapist, bought him an AR-15 style rifle. What kind of parenting is this? And he obviously didn't learn anything from the Crumbly case. You would hope that the Crumbly precedent would teach parents like this, but apparently not. Maybe this case finally will get it through these parents' heads. This is not how you raise a child. If your child shows serious mental health issues, you don't treat it by giving them a gun.
All right. Yeah, you guys are probably familiar with the recent another school shooting in America, which is becoming like almost a ritual at this point. Like it's like a yearly thing. And as a matter of fact, we don't hear about all of them. That's something I learned a few years ago. We don't hear about all of them. One of the things I thought about this too when I saw this story and these charges being levied against the cops, I started to wonder if one day will they start pushing this on black folks, where you have a kid out here running the streets doing nonsense and they decide to come and rope you in too. Something to think about. But with that said, let me mix it up this time around. Let me hear from Oni first on this one. Oni, what say you?
Yeah, I'm not really too familiar with this shooting, but I mean, it's a start. It's a good thing that they're trying to do something about their kids killing people, killing other kids left and right. I feel like it's 10 years ago when I remember when I was in college when we heard about some school shooting. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, I mean it's a start. I don't wait. Why is white family not being studied for producing psychopaths? Well, I mean, I think. Well, for that question, I don't know. I mean, obviously, there were a couple of studies with Bobby E. Wright in them. I think as far as white people not study, I feel like white people definitely do study white people on this kind of psychopathic thing, but I don't think that they. I mean, I don't think that they consider it a problem with whiteness because they normalize themselves, and of course it's like their country, so it's like like for instance, if I were to go to Germany, German psychology will be about German psychopaths, but they wouldn't say, oh yeah, well it's because Germans are psychopaths, you know what I mean? Because like people don't do that. I think that I think we are othered because we're others, you know what I mean? But as far as so I don't really particularly know the question, but I mean I don't understand the question, but as far as the prompt, as far as the video is concerned, yeah, I think that it's about time that white folk started, facing consequences for doing things that are awful, your kid, because that's the thing too. It's like, well, my son is young, so I can't really. No, actually, no. I mean, yeah, if you're a father, you have no excuse. Like I could tell you guys this. I have a brother who I wouldn't trust him with a gun. You know what I mean? Like growing up, like I was recounting this story earlier, and I'm like, this motherfucker stabbed me. He he stabbed another one of my relatives. Like this dude was like a legit psychopath. So it's like as a brother, as a sibling, when there's a motherfucker that who's not right. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't curse, but you know when there's somebody's not right. And now as a father, you should know even more so. Like as a father, you should know even more so. And so for this story, it goes that not only did the dude know, or like not only should the guy have suspected because that's his son. Like I said, if you have a brother, like for instance, that guy Jay-Z, he shot his brother. You know what I mean? Like I don't trust Jay-Z for shit. Well, once you shoot your brother, I don't trust you for shit. But the thing about this guy, it's like, yeah, as a father, you definitely should know. But if not even that, if the FBI is telling you, hey, your son wants to shoot up a school, and then you go and get your son a gun, and then now all of a sudden you're like, what happened? Like, no, come on. Like Yes, that is actually absolutely a failure in parenting, and I definitely think that things should you know, consequences should come to bear. Like that is just that's just on the money. Now, you know, as far as like black people and black, like let's say single mothers, getting charged, or single fathers or whatever, or deadbeat dads being charged. I would say, the big thing about this case is that the dude literally bought his kid a gun. One thing, I mean, there are deadbeat dads, well, not deadbeat dads, but there are, dads who will buy their kids guns. Um, but I'm not sure if they're like buying their kids. Yeah, if they are themselves involved in in gangs and so on and so forth, then yeah, absolutely, those fathers should be charged. But for the most part, those single mothers, I don't think they're buying their kids weapons. I think their kids are acquiring weapons, but I don't think that they are actively facilitating that lifestyle. Now, if there is a dad out there who is like, "Hey, my son's into crime, and I want to buy him weaponry in order to do that crime," then I would absolutely understand as a state entity, punishing that person. But that's all I can say. I mean, again, as I said for the prompt, I think white people do study their psychopathy. I don't think that they link it to their genetics in the same way that you know black black people would, or I guess particularly African American would try to link it with white genetics. But I do know that, but white people definitely do study the psychopath, and they do have they do say some genetics are inclined towards psychopathy, but again, I don't expect them to be quote unquote racist against themselves. Yeah, that's it.
Appreciate that, Owen. Let me continue to mix it up a bit. Let's have from Buana next. Buana, what's it?
Koku, this may be controversial, but I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I am. That was it. The South Koreans, the North Koreans. North Koreans, if you are committing a crime, they hold your family responsible. And to some degree, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. You shoot up a school, and you would have purchased your son that gun, and you know that your kid is bent. Something is wrong with him. Yes, I'm all for having you in the same dock, as your son. Sure. Yeah, let's get up some charges against you. You have created this thing, you have nurtured this thing, and now the thing has become a societal menace. So now you get to walk away scot-free and say, "Oh, I didn't know my son." No. This started a long time ago. Started a long time ago. And somebody said, "Well, my parent didn't commit the actual crime." No, he didn't. But you fostered a criminal in your house for a long, long time. You fostered a kid who was bent in your home for a long, long time. You know something was off about him. You didn't report it to anyone, and now the consequences come to bear, and you want to exempt yourself from that situation. No. This is why I like, well, to some degree, I like the law, this law in America. I like this law in America. I wish we had them here. You take responsibility for your wayward child, because when your wayward child goes on the streets and act in a irresponsible way, harming innocent people who don't deserve it, we're gonna put you in the dock alongside your child to have you answer for the crimes that he would have committed. No. I enjoy that. Let's go. Let's get this started. I tell America with this particular law, bravo. So now we putting all the parents who would be subject to the actions of their children, we putting them on notice. Putting them on notice that you can't have irresponsible parenting without the fact that, hey, I could be charged or liable for the actions of my children. That's first and foremost. And for the children out there who are doing ridiculous things without a care in the world, harming people, robbing old ladies, and doing shit like that, yeah, your mother could be locked up too for your action. enjoy this law, and some people will tell me, say, well, you're wrong for that. You know, you don't know what your children are gonna do. Sometimes they do commit random acts. That could be the case, you know, but sometimes the innocent have to suffer for the guilty. I am all for it though. I am all for it though. Because when you have produced a child and now the child is an adult, all the things you would have done in the child's foundational stages has come to bear. And now they are harming people, they are hurting people, and they don't give a shit. And you could cry your tears and say, my son was always a good son. He never do nothing to no one. When the whole community in the neighborhood know that your son was always a menace, and you get to walk scot-free out of the courtroom. No. I like these kinds of laws. I like them. You know, so that's my stance on it. And they may be controversial, but I like these kinds of laws. I like them. That's my spill. I'll leave it there, Koku.
Thanks for that, Medea. Um, one thing what Buana was saying, I know that might be a little bit controversial. I actually agree with something Buana said there. The one thing I'll add is that, you know, it should be a procedural thing where, you know, people investigate the background, you know, similar to how these child services work. You know, you investigate the parents and stuff like that. So it's not just a kid did something and so you just toss the parent in jail too, but you investigate. What culpability did you have in this child going this way? So I kind of feel you on that, to be honest. I kind of feel you on that. Let's hear from Jose. Jose, what say you next?
I think we are speaking about a species. So it's all in the package. The shootings, the world wars, the meddling, the putting people against each other, the proxy wars. It's all one thing, right? The hooliganism. We're talking about a species. So that they don't see it, you know, they don't recognize us as humans, so that they don't see themselves in flaws. Yeah, it speaks for itself that for them it's going to be incidents forever, you know. And what can I say? You know, what can we do? Our problem is approximation. You know, not racism is our problem. It's approximation. Not lynching and police brutality is our problem. It's approximation. I don't know what to say. And what is it.
All right, I appreciate that, Jose. In the chat, Chakru says on the prompt, these are casualties of mental health being personalized in the capitalist system so that it's not the fault of the state for producing defective environments and people. Jigan is out there in the chat. Shout out to Jigan. Jigan says Kamala Harris was putting it to parents for their children being truant. Yeah, and actually, that used to be a thing even in my home country with Buana, truancy officers and stuff like that. Chakru says, but now mental health or lack thereof becomes a resource on most personally managed. I'm not sure what that means. Lastly, Jagan says, facts, our problem is approximation, 100%. With that said, let's hear from Kofi. Kofi, you've heard what a lot of folks had to say so far. What say you to it?
Basically, it does seem I was going to go down the line with yeah, here we go. We have your average serial killer, white male from the ages of 15 to 60 being say, oh, there was a mental health issue. But it did seem that I did warn him and say he did have mental health issue, and his father said he's going to get him a gun. So his father is absolutely liable for those deaths just as much as his son. But even if this wasn't the case, right? Go to the question that you posed to this story. The face of violence is never a white face. the face of illegal immigration is never a white face, right? Because people are not going to demonize themselves. They're not going to demonize themselves, right? So when something like this happens, right, and this happens pretty often, it's always white males. But in between these white mass murderers, all we hear in the news cycle about violence, these migrants, Chicago, New York is on fire, Chicago's on fire, these migrants, these Mexicans, this, that. And when it's a white person, oh, mental health, thoughts and prayers. How unfortunate. Nothing to do with the guns, nothing to do with that. It had nothing to do with the guns, but the guns were purchased legally. So the guns were purchased legally, and a gun is the common denominator. How can you say it has nothing to do with guns? So there's a gun problem in this country, and there's this neglect of American culture around guns. I was looking at a Netflix movie called Supercell. It's basically it's like a black British X-Men, but all the black people there are from the Caribbean and they're from Africa. You could tell when you talk to them, when you listen to them and stuff like that. You see the dialect and certain phrases that they use, right? So they had this one kid. He was a part of a gang, and he's like, coming out, you fucking wine kid, come out of the bloody house and or whatever. So dude's like, yeah, I'm gonna come out, I'm gonna face him. So he's going into his pants, I'm like, yo, he's about to pull out the burner. Oh shit, I'm about to burn. He pulls out a knife, and the other guy pulls out a knife, and I start laughing. And the moment I start laughing, I felt shame, and I'm like, wow, here I am laughing that these so I mean it's fiction, but this how it is actually in England and other places, how they're gonna pull out a knife, and I'm laughing that they can't up their arsenal to a semi-automatic weapon so they could kill more people. And that's me living in America, growing up, has a part of American culture, saying that's funny. That's sad that I'm looking at that and I'm laughing at that. So it's a part of American culture with all these guns here, and you have all these gun nuts, and as well as white people are not going to psychoanalyze, like the brother said before, going to psychoanalyze themselves as white people. They're not gonna do that because they feel there's nothing wrong with their culture. The cultures that are wrong are Haitians and and Hispanics and all these things, knowing very well that these people, immigrants, commit way less crime. American born people commit way more crime. But like I said, in between these incidents and these mass murders, these mass shootings, white people are not going to psychoanalyze themselves. We, as the other, will have to say, okay, I see how these people are. They're not going to look at themselves in the mirror and tell to themselves that they're psychotic. Another book that I want to reference before I go that really made me put things in perspective. So if you read Sheikh Anta Diop's book Civilization or Barbarism, white people think that just because the civilization that they took ideas and things like that they took from other people to make their life much simpler, they think that's civility. Well, I'm a part of a civilization. I have running water. I know what a book is now. I know what a window is, and I know what a cart is, and so I'm civilized. But within your culture, you still have barbarous things that you do within your culture that makes you a barbarian. So we have to recognize that we have these people that put on this fake facade of being civil, but when they always had a culture of barbarism. And I'll leave it there.
Good stuff, Kofi. I appreciate that. Real good stuff. With that said, Black Steel, you've heard everything everyone else had to say. What say you to all of it?
So everybody, I enjoyed everybody's contributions to this. So I would say, the Black family has always been pathologized, right? We always talk about Black parents don't take care of their kids. Whenever there's whenever there's something going on in Chicago, where are the fathers? Why are the fathers not in the home? We hear this rhetoric that gets, spread so often against African people. But when it comes to the European, they're not looking at where the father's at, right? They're looking at, there is a mental health problem, like Kofi said, it's a mental problem. They need help. So here this man not only gets visited by the police, but by the FBI, who tells him, sir, your son is making threats, causing harm, to potential harm the school, right? So his response as a father is not to go out and buy his son a PS5, to buy him a Nintendo Switch or a skateboard. You go buy him a AR-15. And not only that, he took the boy deer hunting, right? And the boy smears blood from the deer on his face, talking about, oh, this is the best day of my life. So the signs are all there. So I believe this is a correct charge for this man. But we don't ever really understand the foundations of the white family. White people look at everybody but themselves, right? So we can talk about how single mothers are ruining the community, black fathers not being in the home, but yet when you sit up here and talk about, oh, what's up with these white parents? Why these white people, all their kids coming out shooting up schools, all their kids addicted to drugs? What's going on with these white people where they're committing, these white parents, their kids are committing suicide? Nobody ever looks at the situation. And then it started to blame immigrants. So why is little Johnny in the basement as an incel? He can't get a girlfriend. Oh, it's the immigrants. It's the black guy stealing all the girls. It's their fault that these young people want to kill everybody. It's the side. It's the socialists. It's the blacks. It's everybody but them. Who raised these generations of white people? Who was taking their kids to lynchings to see a black person hung up and tortured to death? That germ seed of a consciousness is still within the white society, and I don't think that they're ever gonna address it. It's up to us to address it, however best we can. But they're not ever gonna focus on that. They're going to talk about passing gun laws and restrictions. This was a legal firearm bought by a legal gun owner. So he would have, whatever gun laws they got in place, he would have bypassed them completely. Because it is really the mentality that we have. We don't really, and white people have the best PR. To Taku Tori's point, white people have the best representation on because white people are just perfect, right? Whenever you hear about these divestors, oh, this the white man, girl, get you a white man. White man be up here killing girls and dismembering them and throwing their body parts around the city, but it's black men's fault somehow. They never focus on the mental instability of 70% of the population in the United States. So I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Appreciate that, Black Steel. Does anyone have any last thoughts or comments they'd like to make? All right. That was Shooter Breeze topic number 3. Let's go to Shooter Breeze topic number 4 tonight. We're making good time. We might get through all 5 tonight. That's pretty good.